not gonna lie, y'all, I am nervous. I have never done this before, but here we go, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so thrilled to be doing this, to be out of my comfort zone, to be here with all of you. You're always such an inspiring group of women, and I know this is a very supportive group, so that's what makes it feel a little bit safer. So my name is Maureen Gaumer, and I lead North America Channel Marketing for Dell Technologies. And if you saw my Women of the Week video back in October, I did talk about squiggling. It was a concept that I heard at another conference. The keynote speaker was talking about her career squiggles. And it really resonated with me because I don't think I know anybody who's had a very linear path in their career. And I know my own career has been not linear, not linear. So it resonated with me. But when I was looking at the opportunity to speak here and the topics available, power of the pivot jumped out at me, because pivot is such a more powerful word than squiggle, right? And honestly, I talked to my team, I'm like, can we license the whole Ross Geller couch pivoting thing? And they said no. But I always hear Ross Geller's voice yelling, pivot, right? I think a lot of us know that. But a pivot is a very intentional change of direction, right? In basketball, planting your foot and pivoting is how you can control the ball. It's how you can control the tempo of the game. And the pivots I've made in my career have changed my entire life more than I could have expected. So I want to share a little bit about my story and hopefully share with you the power of pivoting, because it's about standing in the power of your decisions and embracing change and owning your path. And change can be scary, but that's also where growth comes from. And the pivots I've made have led to amazing growth in my career. Every pivot taught me something valuable. Every pivot led to growth. So the first pivot I made was actually relatively early in my career. I started out in nonprofit marketing communications, in something that I thought was my dream job. It was around an issue that I was passionate about at the time, quality childcare for working families. Yes, right, something we've all struggled with, and even I, as a young person, I anticipated struggling with it, so it was something that mattered to me. I was working for a great company, it was a great team, and I was good at it. I was doing work that I really enjoyed. But we were on a team building retreat. Ends up being ironic. We were on a team building retreat, and the facilitator had us fill out a questionnaire. And then, based on the answers of that questionnaire, she broke us up into corners of the room. There was a creative thinking corner of the room. There was a feeling thinker corner of the room. And I ended up being alone in the corner of the room for analytical thinkers. And as I stood there and jokes were being made about the cheese standing alone, I just really felt, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I was in Silicon Valley, tech was booming, and I thought, I want to go do that. I think that's where I'm supposed to be. So, talking with friends and friends of friends and networking with anybody I could talk with, informational interview after informational interview, so many people were generous with their time. And this one woman in particular, her name was Winnie Shows. She was a principal at a PR agency on the peninsula. And after talking with me and looking at my cover letter back then, cover letter and my resume, she said, you need to be more aggressive. You need to change your pitch. Write this down. She said, let me make this easy for you. And then you lean in about your skills and your experience. You just focus on those things, and you tell them you're willing to learn anything they can teach you about tech. That changed everything. I sent out new cover letters and new resumes, and I got interviews, and then I got a job offer. And that was my first job in tech at a PR agency in San Francisco. So the lesson here is you have an incredible skill set already that can be applied elsewhere and do other things, but you've got the skill set. So that first pivot taught me not to be afraid to ask for help and to take bold steps towards my goals. Now, I loved working at that PR agency. That is where I felt like I found my people, and some of them are my best friends to this day. I managed multi-million-dollar accounts for HP. I got to lead product launches. I got to lead press tours and go on analyst tours. But after a few years, I again found myself wanting more, wanting something different. And a friend of mine was opening up a web development studio and needed help with business development. So I interviewed with him and his partners, and I got the job, which was very exciting. I really wanted this change. The next day, I found out that my upset stomach wasn't because I was so nervous about quitting my job and getting a new job. I was pregnant. Joyous, wonderful, unplanned surprise. That kind of sums up his personality, too. So after my son was born, I decided to prioritize my brand new family, and I asked to come back to work 3/4 time. And to my surprise, they agreed. And it was while working part-time that I helped build this business. I learned, to improve my sales skills. I learned to improve my account management skills. I learned to negotiate. So the lesson here was you can redefine success on your own terms. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And this pivot taught me the importance of setting boundaries and advocating for myself. So then the dot-com bubble burst, and high-tech companies weren't hiring, they were consolidating. And I, again, was looking for a job that could use all of my skills and talent and experience. I got hired at a much different kind of PR agency this time. It was an agency that specialized in public communication, community relations for wastewater and water infrastructure projects throughout the Sacramento Valley. So I became a certified public meeting facilitator, and instead of working with networking engineers, I was working with civil engineers. I learned entirely too much about wastewater treatment, wastewater conveyance, pump station construction, weird stuff. But through that job, I met some guys who were developing an old sugar factory on the Sacramento River. It was a beautiful property, built in the 30s, brick buildings, and they wanted to redevelop it from the heavy industrial use of producing sugar to a mixed-use site of having some wineries, having some tasting rooms, having some commercial, and maybe having some housing. Now, the farmers in the area, 5 generations of farmers in these families, they loved the idea because they were no longer growing sugar beet, they were growing wine grape. So the opportunity to keep that grape there in their county and produce their product there was very interesting for them. But the folks in town, they weren't so bought into it. So working very grassroots in that community, I learned how to build coalition and navigate a lot of resistance, but stay very grounded in purpose. I also learned how to license and bond a winery. Anybody else here ever have that experience? It's crazy. I learned how to operate one of those measuring tapes on a wheel. It was a great experience, thoroughly. But the lesson here, don't be afraid to take risks and try something completely new. Completely new. This pivot taught me the value of adaptability. So how did I get back into high tech? Well, around that same time, the sugar mill project got approved, but environmentalists started filing lawsuits, and that's when I realized politics was not for me. So I was in Home Depot one Saturday morning and ran into an old client from HP, Ken Robb, chit-chatting about the family and the kids and just catching up in general. He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually looking for something new." And he said, "I've got a few positions on my team. Why don't you interview?" Okay. So I went in and I interviewed for 2 roles, and I got offered one. And I was very excited. Great job, great salary, best benefits I've had in years, but full-time work. And the idea of returning to full-time work after almost a decade of working part-time, where I'd had a lot of flexibility in my work situations to that point, it was very daunting, right? So school pickup, school drop-off, after-school activities, soccer practice, Boy Scouts, all the things. How was I going to get that done working a full-time job? So I made the ask, could I please go in early and leave early so I could have that balance still for my family? I made the ask, and to my surprise, he said yes, because it was a win-win for him too. There were a lot of things going on with the team over in EMEA that he said, if you can get in at 6, you can overlap more with EMEA. That'll help us out, and then you can be at home for the carpool in the afternoon. Worked out fantastic. So the lesson here, number 1, maintain your professional network. LinkedIn makes it a lot easier these days, but maintain those connections. They're invaluable. And you never know when you're going to run into somebody somewhere who's going to present to you your next opportunity. So that's what this pivot taught me, to be prepared to seize opportunities anytime they arise, especially the ones that are unexpected. So in that role at HP, I worked with this guy, James Enston. I don't know if that name is familiar to anybody else in the room. He's been around the industry a long time at HP, Cisco, Meraki. Back in those days, he may still be, I don't know. But back in those days, James was a very pleased but never satisfied kind of guy. For product launches, the collateral was never done on time. The product merchandising was never available soon enough. And he wanted on-hold messaging for every product for CDW, and that was never a part of our BOM, our bill of materials for a launch. But he needed it, he wanted it, he demanded it, CDW needed it. He was so passionate about what his partners needed. It made me really curious to understand more about partners, who they are, how they work, what do they need, and why do they need it? I didn't know any of those things. So I told my boss, that's what I want to do next. I want to do channel marketing. And she wasn't able to make it happen for me at HP, but when she left and joined EMC, she fished me out and gave me my first dedicated role in channel marketing. So for the last 12 years, I have had 6 positions, all in channel marketing. They've been in North America roles, global roles, working with solution providers, distribution partners, with our big GSIs, our advisory partners, nearly every partner type in the ecosystem. I have gotten to work with some amazing partners and led amazing teams. Here in channel marketing, I feel like I have finally aligned my passions and my strengths. So when you find your passion, right, growth and success naturally follow. This lesson for me was pursue roles that excite you. Play into your strengths. Don't settle, and always seek opportunities that will challenge and inspire you. Reflecting on this journey, the pivots, the risks, the reinventions, again, that could look like I've squiggled around. If you were just to see it on paper, it could look like I've squiggled around a bit. But I see a lot of power in those pivots that I intentionally made. And that power comes from going after what you want, taking the actions to make it happen, and growing from every opportunity that you choose to pursue. So to any woman, every woman here who's wondering if it's time to make a change, I'm here to tell you it is. Yes. Reinvent yourself, stretch yourself, and pivot. Your career is not a straight line. It will never be a straight line. It's a journey of growth and reinvention. Embrace your power to change. Trust yourself to navigate that change. Every pivot is a chance to learn and grow and make an impact. Be intentional in the risks that you take, but follow your passions and own your decisions. Stand in that power. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey today with all of you. I hope that you feel inspired to embrace the power of a pivot. I am grateful for the opportunity to connect with such an amazing group of women every year when I get to come here to Women of the Channel East. Really, really happy to be here in the 15th year. That's remarkable. So let's connect, let's support, let's continue to uplift each other in our careers. Thank you for being a part of this amazing event, and I wish you all the best in your career journeys.